Today's guest is a seasoned writer, editor, and podcast host with over 15 years of experience covering entertainment and reality television. As a senior director of editorial growth at the Arena Group, she oversees major publications like Men's Journal and Surfer Magazine. Her passion for storytelling and her success in the podcasting world were major inspirations behind the launch of this show, The Healthy Mental Pod. I'm excited to have her here today to talk about some of the mental journey she's been through while sharing some valuable advice you won't want to miss. Welcome to episode 4 of The Healthy Mental Pod.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your day to jump on this new experience that I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
And, my guest today, everybody, she's a writer, editor, podcast host, former senior editor at Us Weekly. She has 15 years of experience in the digital entertainment industry. She made her mark through in-depth celebrity interviews, breaking reality TV exclusives, and building an editorial empire from the ground up. She's not just covering stories, she is creating them. So thank you for being here.
Devin.
We've got Sharon Tharp. Thank you so much. How are you?
Thank you. What a lovely intro. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. How you doing?
I'm good. Busy, but good. I'm taking a little bit of a podcast break just because I know when the summer comes and I cover Big Brother, it's going to be like nonstop. But
Right.
yeah, this is nice because I kind of miss it.
I see you covering some stuff right now. What are you covering? I think a bunch of Big Brother people are on something going on right now. What is that?
Yeah. Well, I just wrapped up. The Traitors, and then Amazing Race wrapped filming actually today.
Okay.
It's a whole Big Brother cast, and so I haven't really talked about it much because they actually didn't release the cast. It's still sort of, even though everyone knows who's on it.
Right.
But yeah, so I'll cover that when it comes out for sure.
Cool. Awesome. So what's the deal? So you got into entertainment. So when I from a female perspective, right? You're a woman navigating, from your perspective, not mine, I'm not a female, but a woman navigating high pressure media spaces, having to navigate building a career in a competitive industry where, burnout's a real thing,
Yep.
dealing with like the mental gymnastics of journalism and having to separate your real life from like all this entertainment, like excitement, right? That's difficult. So how does one get into that industry? Where did you get your start and how did that happen? Tell us about it.
Yeah, I started I wanted to be a journalist in high school essentially, and went to college for it. And I thought I was going to be a big magazine editor, which I guess more or less I am now. But
Right.
magazines, when I graduated college, this will age me, but 2008 was like when everything was not great. The economy wasn't great, and magazines were folding like nonstop. And so, I somehow found myself, I was working at McDonald's actually for like 10 years of my life, just trying to make money and pay for school.
Mm-hmm.
And after college, even I worked there for a bit and I was writing for free, and then moved to New
Wow.
York, took a chance, and then just ended up in the digital entertainment space, which luckily enough grew. And honestly, that's where everything is now. I mean, magazines are still in existence, but it's just not the same as it once was.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
And then obviously, magazines aren't the same. I'm sure reality TV, when you started covering it, isn't the same either. Talk about the evolution of when you first started covering reality TV, what you first started covering, and where is it at now, and how do you like it where it's at now?
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching reality TV for years. I mean, I was back in, when they were doing The Real World, and
Right. Yeah.
there was like something on Disney called Bug Juice. I don't know if people remember this, but it was like a reality show about kids at camp. Like I was watching those kinds of shows in the 90s.
Wasn't Bug Juice on was it on Disney Channel?
Disney or Nickel, one of them, right?
Something. Yeah. Obviously, Bug Juice. It sounds like a Nickelodeon show, but yeah. Oh, go ahead. Anyways.
No, but yeah. So I've always loved reality TV. I watched Jersey Shore, America's Next Top Model, like all of those shows. And once I started writing about them, I guess it was like 2010, 2012, somewhere around then. And I started covering Big Brother because I already loved Big Brother. And so it was
Okay.
easy.
Right.
But I would say the biggest change since then even is just social media. Cause like you don't need to wait or try to figure something out. People can just go on social media and express themselves and say, hey, this isn't true or this is true. And now it's all about, followers and to be honest, like I think when and you could tell me probably more, but when you get off Big Brother and these shows like 10 years ago, maybe the opportunities you look different, or
Right.
maybe you thought it might become something, you'd be an actor or a musician, and you still can. It's not like you can't. But these days, it definitely seems like a lot of people who go on these shows are like, listen, I'll get followers, I'll get some brand deals, I'll make 5K here, 10K here, and I don't really need to do much else. And I don't hate on that because like if you can
Right.
make
Yeah. Yeah.
a job out of social media, do it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was a little bit different too. I don't remember, like, I think it was there, but it wasn't like, cause I mean, Frankie was an influencer and stuff like that.
Exactly.
YouTube. Right. So, I mean, he had followers. So I think it was there. I think if you kind of were ahead of your time or could see into to what it was going to evolve into, you could capitalize on that. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit different. Would you consider being able to actually get to the fans, get to the reality contestants or entertainers as they may be, and actually have that dialogue with fans and with these contestants? Do you feel like you're more presenting real news versus what they say nowadays is like that fake news?
I try because listen, I have a love-hate relationship with Twitter.
Right.
Someone posts something from an anonymous account and then all of a sudden it's fact. And so it
Right.
does drive me nuts as a journalist. But so yeah, I am trying to, I don't tweet as much as I used to, but I do go on there and if I know something, we'll share it. And I just want people who follow me to know if Sharon's writing about something or posting something, it's true because I don't.
Right.
And now it's got, I'm sure we'll talk about this. It's gotten tricky because I'm friends now with people who've been on reality
Right.
TV and I've experienced, I've talked to people and, I have a lot of empathy for that. And I think I probably don't report as much as I used to just because I don't want to perpetuate anything that, I don't know. I just have a lot of empathy for people that have been on reality TV. And so I'm probably a little bit less aggressive than I used to be, maybe.
Right. And I was going to touch on that a little bit. I'm glad you brought that up because I don't no you and I text you here and there, say, hey, how you doing, whatever the deal is, right? And real nice, cordial, everything. And I'm getting to know you personally, obviously, in the last 7, 8, 9 months since we've done an interview and stuff. Yeah, I see you, and you're a genuine person. You come off very genuine, just everything, and I can tell in my gut that you are just a good natured person. I wanted to ask, like, how does that ever get in the way? You need to cover a story. You may have past contestants back on a show, and how does that influence your personal relationship with what you actually cover and what you present to the world?
It does get tricky. Like even for example, this Amazing Race season, I knew months ago a lot of the cast because a lot of them I'm friendly with. And that's just not something I would go out and publicize. These people trust me, and that's what I try to build my sort of what you called an empire, which I love. I want to build it on trust and people saying, "Hey, listen, if I tell Sharon something, I know she's not going to run and say it." So that is tricky because, like in the past, maybe I would have. No, I don't know. It just evolved over the years as I've gotten
Right.
friendly with people. I've met more people, sources, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But and then also just personal relationships as well, like especially on Big Brother and these other shows when there's like showmances and breakups and it could get a little
Yeah.
tricky. But I don't want to put something out there that they wouldn't want to put out there, if that makes sense. Like
For sure.
Taylor and Joseph, they were on a couple seasons ago, Big Brother. They broke up. They came to me first about it because they can trust me, as opposed to
Right.
me sneaking around trying to find out and then like going back. I just, that feels icky to me. I don't do that stuff.
100%. And you're again, I think that, and I'm not saying it sets you up in a good spot. You're a good natured person. You're an awesome person, but it does put you in a exclusive, position to get this information. So it's awesome being not sharing and being that person. So good.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, yeah. So, covering reality TV and everything like that, Big Brother was a show that you said you liked as a fan and then started covering it. Were you ever surprised by any of the behind the scenes reality stuff and like what you were covering versus what maybe aired on TV, and then tying that back into years later, knowing some of these people and being like, you know what I mean? Like, how does that, have you had that experience at all?
I mean, a little bit. I guess nothing surprises me as much anymore since I've been doing it for so long. But yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
And a lot of the fans, the diehard fans, do find out a lot of stuff. But yeah, the casual fans, as we call them, like my mom, for example, if we're watching Survivor, she doesn't realize, yeah, they're on a beach by themselves. But if you pan out, there's about 100 crew members around them. And like,
Right.
that would probably blow her mind. But like the people that are in this kind of know.
Right.
So little things like that. But I think the biggest thing I've sort of learned and tried to evolve my thinking is that when people go on a show, especially like Big Brother, because you're so mentally, I don't know how people do that. And I give you guys a lot of credit. But coming out of that, I think is so strange because it airs in real time. So it's not like you have months to digest. And then, you know, there's other bad parts of that too, where you're like worried about how they're going to edit you and stuff. But Big Brother specifically, I just feel like is so intense. You're cut off from everything. You get out of the house. You got a million followers now. It's not easy to navigate, and that is something that, you know, when I'm doing exit interviews, I like to ask tough questions, and I like to hold people accountable if they do something kind of stupid. But they're people, and I think I like to give people grace and hope that they'll evolve and learn. And it's not my job to make them do that, but I like to see that. And so just from my point of view of interviewing, I've tried to remember that empathy of like, they don't imagine me. I can't imagine me watching myself on TV in 3 months locked in a house with people who probably smell bad. They're not cleaning stuff. Like I would lose my mind, Devin. I am OCD. So I have a lot of empathy. And then, yeah, when people come out of the house, I don't know what it is like now. I do think they offer, you could tell me maybe better. They might offer some sort of therapy or something. I don't know how long that lasts, but I think you should get at least a year of therapy after Big Brother, and you should get set up with, hey, here's someone you could talk to about this, because people will come out of the house, they'll get a publicist, they'll get a manager, an agent, they're trying to do this, and then it kind of just dies out. And funny enough, like your co-star, your castmate, I guess you go co-star, castmate, Zach Rance, I caught a clip of a podcast of his, and he was talking about how he did everything wrong. Like after the show, he trusted some guy or someone to tell him to do this and this, and he just blew all his money. And that shit happens all the time. And so that's the other stuff that I like. I want to, you know, I'm not an expert in this stuff, but if someone needs an ear, like, I don't know what I'm doing, I want to be that person of like, here's what at least not to do.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah. And when I look back on it and everything, and so to touch on two things. So when you're in the house, and Big Brother's such a weird show, not to make this weird about Big Brother. Yeah. It's such an odd show, and you nothing can prepare you for it, even if you're a super fan. But even with the ignorance of somebody that's a recruit going in, not knowing Big Brother at all at the time, I remember in like the third week, I'm going home the fourth week. All I could think about, like, I didn't care about the game. I didn't care about anything else. All I cared about was how, if 13 other people that are left with me in this house hate my guts.
Yep.
What does the rest of America, or the people viewing, how do they feel? And what am I going to be received with when I walk out that door? So it's like, it's a weird feeling. And those are all the things that go through your head when you're in there. And so when you're done with the show, they have a show doctor that is more curious, asking you questions about everybody else's mental health. So I remember being in the green room right after the Julie interview, and she was asking me, you know, specific questions about two specific people in the house that they were concerned about. And I said, yeah, this is going, yeah. And I'll be direct. It was about the Caleb and Amber thing and how serious that was. Right. And is she safe? How serious is his infatuation and things like that? And I gave him my honest opinion, you know, because I was actually in there, and I know what it was. So, but that's it. And then when you're done, and you touched on it, everybody gets an agent, they'll get a publicist, they'll get this and that and that. And the first thing you should probably get is a therapist, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I guess that leads me to my next question is, we're talking about therapy and things like that. And obviously for me, I'm diagnosed with social anxiety, and you know, I deal with it now unmedicated. Medication just did not work for me. It probably worked too well, and then I became a different person, right?
Mm.
So yeah, and so I don't do anything for the anxiety today. I just grin and bear it. It's what it is, right? Do you think reality TV contributes to or alleviates the anxiety for viewers and for contestants when they get off? And are they? Everyone should have a therapist, you know. But what are some of the, knowing some of these contestants? What are some of the things that you would give advice to somebody that's getting ready to embark on a reality TV journey, you know, to prepare themselves and to protect themselves, you know?
Yeah, I'm kind of like a no bullshit direct person, and so I would
Right.
like prepare people and just tell them they might hate you. Like prepare yourself for these things, right?
Right.
Set up, have a good circle around you, friends, family, that regardless of what's going to happen, you know that they will be there because you don't, like you said, you don't know if you're going to be hated, loved. You can come out, you have no idea. And then
Right.
therapist, like that's a given. You know, I have been on and off going to therapy for years. I definitely think there's people probably that have bad experiences with therapy. Like it's very hard to find someone that you like. I don't know about you, but
Right.
like
Yeah.
I've gone through a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
therapists that just don't fit, and that's okay. But I
Right.
do think having a third party to talk to, because for me, I'm not someone who loves to like burden people in my life with my
Right.
problems.
Of course. Of course.
So I like that third party. But yeah, and then in terms of anxiety, which I also have, I'm also, you know, I don't take medication for it, which I think stems from, you know, I used to have sleeping issues. I still have sleeping issues,
Yeah.
but I was prescribed Ambien at the time, and that shit is
Oh,
strong.
yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
I just became a different, I don't know. I would stay up. I like wake up and I bought stuff online and I'm like, what the hell did I buy? Like, so anyway, medication scares me a little bit. I do
Yeah.
think whoever it works for, great. Cause some people rely on it and it works and it helps for that, you know, helps them. For me, it scared me a little bit. And so for my anxiety, I do therapy. Um, and really I've been pretty good. I think, you know, I have a couple panic attacks, maybe once or twice a year, but
Right.
I'm fully capable and know how to handle them when they come. And
Right.
so I think it's just knowing yourself and accepting sort of these things because it's so common too.
For sure. It is. But I think with talking with your Ambien story, I never took Ambien because I heard the horror stories of people just like going off and just living full lives on Ambien while they're asleep, right?
Yep.
And I had a workout partner, well, not a partner, but she trained in the same facility I did when I was with the Cardinals, and she was a volleyball player, Olympic volleyball player, and she missed her Olympic volleyball qualifying match. She slept for a
Stop.
day and a half straight. Yeah, over I think wherever they were in another country, and she left and or slept through the whole thing, and I didn't know what had happened until her and her partner, another female that worked out with us, I realized they were not partners anymore. They wouldn't talk to each other in the gym and everything like that. And I found out what happened. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of stories.
yeah.
It's crazy. Now,
Yeah.
with all the craziness, in reality TV and you covering stuff, I do notice on your story that you are a frequent traveler. Good for you. Yeah, look at you. I'm like, where is she next? It's like, you know, where on earth is Carmen Sandiego? Where on earth is Sharon Tharp? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Is it traveling just something you like to do and you just jet set and go when you feel like it? Or are these planned things? And talk about your some of your trips and stuff like that. They're really cool. They're awesome. Your pictures.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
Instagram's a highlight reel, right? So
Yeah.
everyone remember that because, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm very much aware that I'm a single woman. I can do what I want. I don't have kids. I don't have so I don't want people to think like, oh, she must have all this money and she's no. I'm very, you know, particular about what I like and what I like to do, and travel is one of them.
Right.
Um, I think my first big trip that like really got me into it was Morocco.
Okay.
Um, you know, I
How
I
was
went with
that?
like
Yeah. Yeah.
it was amazing. I went with like an ex-boyfriend at the time, and I was like obsessed with Anthony Bourdain. I don't know if you've ever
Okay.
seen any
Oh
of his
yeah. Of
shows,
course. Of
but
course.
I was like, he went to Morocco once, and I just kind of fell in love, and I was like, I have to go, and I just had the best time. I know it actually bothers me. There's people on TikTok being like, "Don't go to Marrakesh if you're a woman," and I understand that
Mm,
happens. Like, there's bad
okay.
experiences everywhere,
Right.
and maybe it's because I live in New York. I'm like pretty conditioned. Like, if people come up to me, I don't engage. Like,
Right.
so I don't want to say it works for everyone, but for me, I'm just I'm very much a people person. I can navigate life by myself, and
Right,
so
right.
after that trip, I just got the bug, and to be honest, like the last 2 years has all been solo trips because
That's
you know
awesome.
what gets out of the group chat, like, oh, we're gonna do this, and no one, and everyone has a different budget, everyone has a different plan, and I'm
Right.
just like, I'm not waiting. And I love my friends and I love to
Hmm.
travel with them, but I just like going alone. It's really freeing.
Do
So
you feel less anxiety going by yourself?
the minute I get anxiety in New York, I'm like, I gotta go somewhere. So no, I
Right,
don't get anxiety when I'm traveling. I
right.
feel more free because no one's telling me what to do. No one's telling me where to eat. No one's telling me. I love to wander. I just like wandering into coffee shops and talking to people at a wine bar. Like
Yeah.
it's just fun. I don't know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Other than like Morocco, is there another trip have you ever gone on a trip and you've had like maybe like a, I don't know if this is your bag or not. I always think back to some of my trips that I've taken when I was younger, and I try and find like a spiritual meaning in it or something
Hmm.
that like I can take away from it. I didn't do it then. I do it now, and I do it on all the trips that I go on now.
There's definitely been moments when I'm traveling and I'll just like I'll start crying because something's just like
Right.
you're sitting there with a view and you're in another country and you're surrounded by people that you're not speaking the language, and it's just like, this is cool. This is life. Like, what
Right.
is, I do have those moments. But for me, I'm obsessed with Spain. Like I try
Okay.
to go
Yeah.
there as much as possible. There's something about that country. I just love it. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's
No.
beautiful.
Are you gonna do any traveling with like how the world is right now and what we're going through with kind of like a tense situation with other countries and stuff? Is that gonna stop you at all or no?
Probably not. If anything, I'm gonna leave more often. I'm actually thinking about buying a place in Spain,
Okay.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
going back and forth. Because again, I'm actually I've been taking Spanish lessons for 2 years now. I'm trying to be
Mm,
fluent.
okay.
Um,
How close are we?
I'm B2 level, which is,
Hmm.
I can have conversations. I can totally get by. But whenever I'm in Spain, like I'll talk, and then they talk back to me in English. I'm like, no, no,
Yeah.
Spanish, please. I'm trying to learn here. But yeah, what was the
Have you,
question? Now I'm like, what am I
no, no,
saying?
you're good. You're good. You're good. You said you were going to move to Spain and everything. Like, I can't
Yeah.
remember what the question was, but I do want, if you start covering baseball spring training, I guarantee you'll learn Spanish very quickly.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, Spain, my wife and I actually looked at Spain. We looked at Spain and we're looking at Portugal for
Portugal.
permanent long-term retirement solely because of the cost of living. I think Portugal, I believe it's like 63% or something, 57% cheaper to live in Portugal than it is the United States. And then Spain is like right below, like 48% or something very close. And then Portugal's awesome because they have like that midday break in the middle where everything closes, and it's like
Or Spain has that too.
do they have, okay, well, they're now Spain is back on the table. Okay.
No, it's talking about
But
people.
no, and I think that's great. It sounds like for me, when I've traveled to other countries, it's a little bit different, like I feel like there's a little bit more prioritizing of mental health and
Hmm.
taking breaks
Yes.
and being happy and enjoying life. Have you experienced that when you've traveled? I'm sure you have.
Yes. And now I'm mad at myself because I forgot there's a word in Spain for it where
Hmm.
you, it's not just about like eating a meal. It's about eating the meal and then after the meal, just talking for like 3 hours with people because
Wow.
they really do value human connection, talking to people. You're so right. It's not about all work, and that is appealing to me. Uh,
Right.
and yeah, and Portugal also is beautiful, like super, again, cheap compared to the US. I would say the cost of living is cheaper. I do think it's harder to make money over there, so that's
Right.
why I probably still would work. I might go back and forth, but
Right.
I mean, yeah, the people over there work's not their biggest priority. And I kind of like that. Like, I'm such a workaholic. I always was. But now that I'm at this point in my life, I'm like, when I die, I don't care about my work. I care as
Right.
much. I care about like what I experienced.
Absolutely. Of course. It's all
So,
about the experience and the journey and
yeah.
everything like that. It truly is. Yeah, no, we're like-minded. I believe I'm a hard worker. Whatever I'm doing at the time, I put my whole hard effort into it. But it's a healthy balance. There has to be a healthy balance in anything that we do. And I'm gonna hit burnout. I can only speak for myself, but I hit, there we go, thumbs up. I can only speak for myself, but I can reach burnout very quickly, and then it's like almost like I'm not feeling that burnout. It's more of like a
Mm.
fatigue, so I keep going because I'm not burnt out. I'm fatigued, but I am burnt out mentally, and then it transfers over into my physical. Have you ever experienced that in anything that you've done with going back and forth between, you know, the journalism and everything like that? And then I do want to touch on like being a female in the field. I know nothing about journalism. I'm not a writer. I can only imagine it's just like any other fast-paced career. How do you deal with the burnout, and how do you deal with being a female and making sure that these guys hear you? You know, because
Mm.
I'm a father of 3 girls. Talk to us. I need some advice to, you know, pass on to these girls too. You know,
Okay, yes, I could definitely talk about that. I mean, first of all, burnout, very normal. Definitely. I mean, I hate to say that's normalized or normalizing it. It definitely happens. There are days I like to be productive. I'm a list person, but there are days I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I'm lazy. I sit on the couch and I put on reruns of like Below Deck. Like I can't even watch scripted TV anymore because my mental capacity after working all day, I don't want to think. Like I haven't watched
Mm,
White Lotus yet because it seems like such a big undertaking where I can just throw on something I've already seen and it's a comfort. And so
right.
that's how I deal with it. And then I deal with the feelings of feeling guilty, like I didn't do anything that day. But I let myself now say, it's just, it's a day, then make sure, get outside. I think that's big because I live in a small ass apartment in New York.
Mm,
Um, and then also working out helps. Like a couple years ago, I decided to get healthier, got a trainer. So work out with him twice a week, do cardio on my own. And that really helped because I wasn't feeling physically good, like you said. And if both those
right.
things aren't going, you're really down in the dumps, right? Like
100%.
mentally, physically, they need, at least one of them should be, uh,
Do you feel yourself pushing through sometimes physically when you're mentally drained, or mentally when you're physically drained, and trying to like balance that sometimes and not having that equal balance?
yeah, sometimes. And like the reason I have a trainer is not because I couldn't do it on my own. It's because I know myself. I'm one of those people. I need someone there being like, do this right now. So
Hmm.
I pay him. He shows up to my apartment. It's a lot of money. I'm not suggesting everyone do this. It's a lot of money, but that
Right.
to me is, I'd rather spend my money on that because I know it helps my physical, but it also helps my mental. Like
Right.
when I feel good and I'm killing it at a workout, it helps me mentally feel better. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're investing in yourself. There's no shame in that. I'm so sorry that, gosh, it's like so many people want to jump on social media bandwagons and then judge other people or pocket watch and just see like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, this person does this person does that. Yeah. I don't do that when you travel. I'm like, oh, where's she going? Where is she at? You know, those kinds of things. But like, yeah, having a trainer, a personal trainer, no shame in the game, dude. You have to invest in yourself. You're investing in your health. And I have a friend that's, getting ready to embark on a professional basketball career somewhere else, and I've got another friend that's trying to transition into a career, and they're coming to me for health advice. And it's just I preach this. I go, hey, I'm like, you can fake the funk and get down to a certain level and get there quickly, or take this medication to get down there. But at the end of the day, bro, if you want to invest in yourself, in your health, it's a lifestyle change, and it's got to
Yep.
be what you're doing. I think you can get to a point where you can remember, you know, if you've seen this dude for like 3 years, like, okay,
Oh, I know how to do a
yeah,
squat properly. Like I
right.
fix myself, but you're right. Like
Yeah,
I don't know. You just also have to know yourself. Like if you're someone who has that regimen where you can go to the gym, great. I'm not
right,
that person. I just know
right,
it. So I just have to
right,
accept that.
right. I hear you. I hear you 100%. And yeah, and it's the accountability factor, you know, true. You know, people go to the gym with partners and friends and stuff like that for accountability's sake. So it's a great thing. Good for you. Awesome. I like that.
Yeah,
Um,
but Devin, I wanted to touch on this because I know you have daughters.
oh, that's right.
I
That's right. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't want to forget.
Yeah.
I honestly think I've been very lucky that I don't really have issues with like men in my industry. It's very female driven, to be honest. A lot of I work with a lot of women and gay men. Only the
Right.
last year I was working on some sports brands where there's like a lot more men.
Hmm.
But I've been very lucky, and I just think it really is making your voice heard. And like I said, at work, I'm very direct and honest. I'm not really a sugarcoater, and that
Right.
can come off sometimes maybe a little insensitive. But I've learned
Hmm.
that people respect you more if you're just genuine and real and not being like, oh, well, and I'm just like, no, I don't like that idea. And again, it could be at first being like, what? But I've noticed people, I think I'm likable, but I think people
You are.
respect it over time because they're like, oh, if I go to Sharon, I'm getting a straight answer. And so I think
Right.
being truthful and real and making your voice heard is important. And then also fake it if you don't know. Like there have been times where I'm in meetings and I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. But
Right.
I just sit there and I learn and I listen and I learn and then eventually I am totally understanding everything and I can act like I know. That's happened to me over the course of my career. And I'm not saying you need to like fake everything, but if there's things that you're not like an expert at, whatever,
Right.
you'll be an
No,
expert. It's fine.
no, that makes total sense. Do you ever have a time that you can talk about, you don't have to, you don't want to, where maybe you were underestimated as a female and faced that? How did you deal with it?
Hmm.
If so, you know, maybe early in your career?
I'm trying to think. I mean, there have been times like one of my first jobs, I worked my way up to be editor in chief. I don't know how I did that, um, but they had originally picked a guy,
Mm,
and because he had like a degree, this is a very nice guy, by the way. So if he ever sees this
okay.
podcast, Matt, you're great. He went to
Shout out, Matt.
Stanford. Yeah, shout out, Matt. He went to Stanford, super smart guy, but he had like a master's and he had all these like accolades. Where me, it was more of like, my resume was like McDonald's and like this one website. But I had a lot of experience and I believed that I could do it. And so I went to my boss and I was like, listen, you could make him the editor, but
Mm,
here's why you should do it, make me the editor. And so anyway, I talked my way into that job and he was my managing editor, like sort of my right-hand person. And it worked out
right.
great. And I do think a big thing is advocating for yourself. Do never feel bad if you're like, I want a raise. I want this. I want that. I want to switch my job. Never feel bad about that. Always
Right.
ask, always advocate. I've never been offended when someone has come to me and said, hey, I want a raise, or hey, actually, I got another job. I'm never like, well, fuck you. I'm like, great, good for you. Advance your career. So I also think that just always advocating for yourself. Don't be afraid. These are just corporate, a lot of these corporate
Right.
jobs, they're so used to it. Like you're not going
Hmm.
to, I don't know. I think some people tiptoe, and I'm like, do not tiptoe. This is corporate
Right.
America. Like, don't feel bad. You're just a number sometimes on a list. So
Absolutely right.
you have to advocate for yourself.
I appreciate you being able to, just pour it out like that, because it's hard sometimes. Like I can tell my daughters all I want from a male perspective. Like I jokingly tell my oldest daughter and my middle daughter, obviously my newborn is 4 months old. So I tell my two daughters, I say, hey, boys are pond scum. Some just float higher in the pond than others. Right. That's just how I describe it. And I always let them know that like, if I want you to be able to speak up what you want. I want you to tell us what you want. You don't know. I mean, I want you to know why as well. And I always want them to just be able to advocate for themselves,
Yeah.
because there's going to be a point in time in life, just in life, I'm not going to be here. And I mean, granted, that could be later in life, but I want them always to be able to know that like, hey, my dad taught me, or I've always known, it was instilled in me that I need to fight for myself sometimes, even if the situation seems a little hard and against them. I always want them to have that voice. So I appreciate you saying that, Sharon.
There's a good balance between being sensitive and empathetic, but also advocating for yourself. So yeah, just got
Right.
to strike that
There,
balance.
I'll bring this up. I'll go on Instagram, and I usually don't comment on anything unless I see something it just strikes me for some reason. And a girl had a post on Instagram where she said, if a guy can't plan a date, if he can't plan a future, and he can't do this, then he's not ready for a relationship. Well, I hearted it. I liked it. And I said, as a father of 3 daughters, I agree. And then there's all these dudes coming into the comment section saying, like, don't, you're a simp dad and don't raise your daughter to be a gold digger. And my response, or
Oh
somebody
my
said,
God.
the response was, don't train your daughters to be gold diggers. And my response was, well, first of all, I don't train my daughters. I said, I help guide my daughters in whatever realm they want to go in. I help guide them. But it's such a weird thing that when a female states, I think something that's very sure, if a guy comes to you and he literally has no career ambitions, he's literally up in the air about dates and whatever he wants to do, right? And I mean, that's not, I don't know if that's something that you're looking for, right? So it's just like, it's wild. But I think that's the world that we live in, and a lot of dudes just haven't, you know either been taught that or they lack the awareness of that, you know? So it's a little
Or they're
odd.
threatened. I don't like this. This is the thing. I'm not saying this is applicable to all men. It's definitely not. But there are certain men that I do think they see a woman who's strong or successful, and they're intimidated, and that's okay. Like, this is literally why I canceled. I fired my therapist because she told me I was intimidating men because I wore like heels on dates. It's like, girl, I don't care about height. Like, I just don't. Like, most of the guys I've dated were like my height. Not like, I don't care about height, but I understand like
Right.
sometimes it's sensitive for guys. But I'm not going to change myself and like not wear. I'm 5'8". I'm not even that tall. So anyway, but yeah, I think
Oh my
there's
gosh.
that, and then the gold digger thing. I mean, that's just annoying because, you know, as women, like, I make my own money, I pay for all my things. I didn't come from money. I grew up very poor, actually. So like, I know the value of my money and how I spend it. And so I'm not expecting a man to treat me to like a Michelin star dinner on the first date. I think it's more
Right.
about thought, right? It's the thought, the caring. And so that infuriates me that they were in the comments saying that. Wow.
Yeah, it's funny. I laugh, but then I realized this is why you don't comment. But when you just brought up Michelin star, let me tell you, when I met my wife, when we were just dating, my wife, she's an interesting character. So my middle daughter is my stepdaughter. I call her my daughter. I'm the only active dad around, so that's what she knows me as. When we started dating, gosh, my wife had gone through so many just douchey, scummy dudes that are just, you know, present well on paper, but when you get to know them, it's just great, whatever. And she has such horror
I'm
stories.
sure.
Right. So she's planning. We went on our first date. It was a casual, regular date. Cool. But I didn't know what, I'm being serious. I didn't know what like a Michelin star restaurant was. And I like restaurants. I go to a lot of restaurants, whether they're Michelin star or not. That's not what I'm looking up. Right. So I don't know what this is. And so she goes, "Hey, we're going to go to this restaurant." Cool. It's a Michelin restaurant. Okay, whatever it is. Our next 5 dates, she intentionally booked Michelin star restaurants. I had no idea, but I was like, why is the bill like $350 before I tip? I'm like, what in the world? But that was her, such a weird way, but that was her way of making sure that I was like there and I was serious. And at the time I was genuinely looking for somebody that I could date long-term and marry. And I didn't care that she had a child or not. And so that was cool. So it was funny that you brought that up. But yeah, I had that experience with my wife. So the Michelin star.
That's funny. I mean, respect to her, to be honest. That's funny.
Right.
Yeah, I've had horrible stories. I mean, one guy got drunk and
God.
and the bill came and he was so drunk he couldn't pay it because he was just like I
Oh
don't know.
my God.
It was a weird interaction. And he wasn't like taking out his wallet. He didn't seem well. Anyway, I paid the bill because I was like, what is going on? But then after, he started saying these really crazy things because I was like ready to leave.
Right.
Anyway, he ended up Venmoing me. I was like, Venmo me right now. Because like, I got one drink and he got like all these drinks and then he got drunk. Listen, men, I don't know what's going on. It's really hard out there right now.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I hear you. Oh my gosh, that's such an experience. Oh, not one I'd want to be in, but I'm so sorry that happened to you.
No, it's fine.
It's a good story.
I have worse ones. That was a tame one.
No, gosh. Oh, that's so bad. You've got the exclusive with Sharon Tharp, your podcast. It's on. You've got. Here, let me just stop real quick. You have your podcast. I started my podcast 2 weeks ago, officially airing and stuff. So
yes, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely, it evolves and it's weird. Okay, it's definitely interesting. I go to look at your page, right? I'm like, okay, let's see how we do this. Like, how many views does she have? How many followers does she have? I was like, okay, over 10,000 followers. I said, that's awesome. Subscribers, and then I go to your views. You're well into the millions.
Here and there, you know, I've hit hits and misses.
Yes, and you've got the podcast that you did with Dr. Will, 55K. Like, that's crazy. Like, when I look at that as somebody that's just starting, somebody that was a recluse to this whole social media stuff, like, right? That's wild to me. Like, talk to me about the podcast. Like, what got you started? Were you doing that simultaneously with the editing? Like, how did that come about? And like, how do you deal with your success? That's awesome. I think it's great.
Well, thanks, Devin. Because like, to be honest, I wish I was in a better spot than I am. Not saying, you know, I'm very grateful, but I am doing the podcast with a full-time job, and that's really tough. And I, you know, edit it myself more or less. Sometimes I have a someone helping me, but I do a lot of it myself. And so it is difficult, and I wish I had more time. But the whole reason I started it was because I realized if I just wanted to be a reality TV writer or someone writing, I was not going to make a lot of money. And living in New York City, it's just not realistic. And I was growing in my career and, becoming a manager. And I was just like, if I'm going to do this and make money, then I'm going to do it. But I'm missing that creative outlet. Like I wasn't writing as much. I wasn't doing. So I wanted to do the podcast because I still love reality TV and talking about it. And I love interviewing people. Like that's one of my favorite things is just meeting people and hearing their stories. And so that's why I did it, because I wanted the best of both worlds. Like I want a good career to make money, but then at the same time, I wanted to have fun and talk about reality TV. So it's been fun. But yeah, I wish I had a little bit more time. I'm hoping this summer I can dig into it a little bit more than usual. But yeah, it's been a lovely journey so far. I'm still learning. Like I hate watching myself. I don't know about you. I'm never on TV, but hate watching myself, hate listening to myself, never wanted to be on camera, but here we are. So I don't know.
No, it's no, you said it perfectly. It's very interesting. I don't like hearing myself. I don't like seeing myself.
No.
But I do know I went back and looked at like some interview that I had done with some BB15 people right days after I got evicted. And these interviews are a lot better. I have a lot more awareness. I can see myself now. I understand how I look and what I'm doing and all these weird things that I did back then and what I was trying to portray and not. So it's cool. Have you ever had like an interview with anybody that you had to scrap or that was just so wild that you're like, oh shit? Like, have you ever had something that turned into something that you're like, oh shit? Like reality people are wild. Let's just be real. We come in all different flavors, you know what I mean? And it's wild. It can be different, so.
That is a good point. Nothing comes to mind where it was like I had to cut a lot. I would say the Dr. Will one, he's an interesting character. I know him personally. He is the same person on TV that he's in real life, which is hilarious. But
yeah,
he was all over the place. He's showing me his turtles, but it was fun. I think what was tough was that I did this Big Brother season 6 reunion. I texted a bunch of people and I was like, hey, do you want to do a reunion? And they all said yes, which I didn't expect. And so I did it. And a reunion with people, I think it was 6 or 8 people who haven't talked in 20 years, a little awkward.
Right.
And also navigating the big relationships. You got Howie over there. You got, Kaser, and it was just a lot. And so it's fun, but those interviews are hard to navigate when you're trying to give other people the floor to talk. And then you're cutting, you have to cut people off. Those are the nuances of podcasting and interviewing that I think are tough and you learn as you go. So
absolutely. Yeah. I saw the interview you did with when the group that had the longest competition. I don't remember what season that was.
That's what I mean.
Was them? Oh, that was them. Okay. Wait, what season was that?
It was season 6.
Oh, okay. So I thought that was a current new season and they had busted the record because wasn't there a long comp a couple seasons ago, real long comp that was close or something like that?
And that's why I did the reunion because they were bringing back that comp called the Pressure Cooker. And I was like, you know what? It would be cool to reunite the original Pressure Cooker players. And so that's what happened. Yeah.
There you go. See, look at Big Brother ignorance. I wasn't a fan. Not a fan. Sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
No, I was just going to say, and some of them, like I said, haven't talked since the show. Some of them are friends, but, there were some hurt feelings there. There was a lot of backlash for a couple of those players and they opened up about it. And it was kind of nice to see because they did it in front of, and everyone validated their feelings. And I think there was healing going on in that podcast. So it was actually really nice.
There you go. You created a therapy session of your own just to tell that therapist that you had to fire. Said, look, this is how it's done. But no, do you think that what's one of the biggest misconceptions about reality TV stars from a fan's point of view that they view? Because I know how when I run into people that are Big Brother fans, sometimes randomly, I know how it can get. I know how they can be, and not in a bad way. But I just know they're expecting something out of me, and I've had so many different interactions and conversations and comments thrown at me that are just, sometimes I walk away and I'm like, God, man, this is very anyways, what's the biggest misconception that people have, knowing all of us?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good one where people come up to you and expect you to care, they know your life. It's a little weird. I also see this with actors And I think people, they look at you on TV, they have an idea of what your personality is. And sometimes it's not that. Sometimes I mean, look at Derek. He went in the house. Derek is actually not he's similar to how he was in the house, but he's different too. Like he's a little more,
Hmm.
when I talk to him, he's a little more open. But
Right.
I think people have this expectation of you, and they're expecting a very specific response and reaction and experience with you. And it's weird. Like I've noticed actors, even they have off days. They're humans like us, where we're like, dude, I don't want to do an interview today. I don't want to do this, or I just got some bad news, and that happens, I'm sure, for reality stars too. And it's like, it sucks when people are like, oh, I met them and they were a jerk. It's like, well, people have bad days. And again, let's give people grace. I don't think we should put so much pressure on these reality stars to come out and be like, all right, everyone, let's talk. Like sometimes people
Right.
want
Yeah.
to decompress. They don't want to talk about all that. And so I do think, we could probably be better about that. Everyone's different. So I don't know.
100%. No, I get that. Yeah. No, I think from my point of view, I guess it's just the weird, and they're not weird comments really. I mean, I guess it's not like people come up to me and they're just like you said, they think they know you. So they have no personal space. They invade that. I have no personal space at that point. But yeah. And then they'll say things like, like, oh, you look different than you did, or I thought you were going to be bigger, like with a disappointed kind of like confused look, like,
Oh God.
yeah,
Body
and it's just
comments
like,
would drive me nuts, but
that's the one. Well, I was at like a Hard Rock on Hollywood Boulevard years ago, and I was with somebody I was dating at the time, and there was like a family sitting behind me, and this is closer to when Big Brother ended, but there was like her kids, her two boys, the youngest one recognized me, and she finally like leaned over the booth and was like, "Hey, can my boys come over and like talk to you and take a picture?" It was like, she's like, "I know you're over here eating whatever." I said, "Yeah, cool. I don't care. I'm nobody." So like they stand up, and I go to like stand next to the little kid. Why is mom's taking the picture? He's literally looking up at me. That's a real thing. He goes, so disappointed. He's like, I thought you were going to be a lot bigger than what you are, And I'm just like, well, this is what it is, buddy. I'm not on steroids anymore. How about that?
oh my
So
God.
I was just like, that's a real thing. So, but like, yeah, and I'll say comments like that in response because it's the truth. But like at the same time, it's like, dude, I'm sorry I didn't live up to your expectations. So that is a real thing. But
Yeah.
when you started your podcast and everything like that, I know you started it for your love of reality TV, specifically Big Brother and everything like that. Did you ever expect to get the response that you did from the fan base? And you can tell me if you did. We don't do things just to do things. Sometimes we do things with intention and purpose, right? So did you expect that?
Yeah, no, I'm not a bullshitter. I told you. I thought I would have some fans because I have a Twitter following, right?
Mhm.
Twitter these days is crazy, but I have a pretty good following there, and I know people like to hear from me. And I was kind of afraid because I like to be behind the scenes. Like, yes, I'm a writer, and you can Google my name and read my stuff, but being on camera and technically, like, I know people don't care about my personal life, but you don't know that. Like, I didn't know if people were going to be like mean or commenting on my like things like that. And so I was
Right.
afraid, but I did think, okay, I have a little bit of a following here. Maybe this could work. But the response has been great. And I've been really lucky that people, they're nice. Like, honestly,
Right.
like there's definitely
Yeah.
the people that are like, don't agree with me, which is fine, guys. I actually
Right.
like when people don't agree with me. Like, that is the fun of these shows. Like, we don't
Right.
all have to like the same people and stuff. So that stuff's been fine. Sometimes there'll be comments like, oh, she favoritism this person, or she should have asked this, like shit like that. But I'm pretty lucky. Like, I don't get too much hate, and I hope that stays that way.
Absolutely. I don't know about being on this pod now. So
No, Devin,
no, I'm kidding.
I told you, I was
I'm
like,
kidding.
I've been saying for years, I was like, we need to find Devin. I need him on my podcast. I was like, he's such an underrated, I know you have your own feelings about it, but like character, right?
Mhm.
And I just loved that season. So yeah, but
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, no, but I can't remember what we were talking about, dude. What were we saying? I can't remember. was gonna tie that in somehow amazingly, and now I can't, so we're gonna have to cut that, Sharon. That
Well,
part.
I
But,
also forgot what we were talking about because I just went on a tangent. So sorry.
yeah, no, I was gonna respond to the tangent. It was totally
Oh,
cool.
I was just. I think I was saying that I felt good about I would have a following, and I hope that they still like me.
Right. No, yeah, no, you have a great, like, I will say this, you do have a great fan base.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I went through our interview and I read the comments. I went through every single one. Obviously, that's my insecurities are still there.
You had some good comments.
They're very nice, and I appreciate it. I do understand I'm the worst Big Brother player ever, but it was very nice. So tying it all back in to the mental health, when you look back, if you could say anything to your younger self that was just starting out in journalism and entertainment, I know you had a path, you had a thought process, and you had a dream, and you had a goal. I would say that you are still on that journey. I would say that I don't want to say the goal is accomplished because I think
no, it's never.
Yeah, right. You're going to continue to do amazing things. You're going to continue to just give us amazing journalism and everything like that and grow. But what would you tell your younger self looking back if you could give yourself any advice coming into the career field that you have chosen?
Be adaptable because media is always changing. Like I said, magazines are closing, websites are changing. Now they care about page views. Now they care about engagement. Things are always changing in media. And so if you're not someone who likes to adapt to change, this might not be for you. So I would say being adaptable and telling myself like, just ride the wave. And that's what I've done. And luckily it's worked out for me. But also, you do need to have a little bit of a thick skin because you're putting yourself out there in words or in whatever. And there's going to be critics. Like people are going to criticize you. Even I used to cry when I would get edits from my editor. It's ridiculous. Like now I'm like, oh, what a joke. But when I talk to even, when I'm mentoring other writers, I'm like, listen, this is not a personal thing. If I fix your this or that, like, and they get it. And I think, but developing that thick skin over the years, like I've been on red carpets where people were rude to me or people were like, you just have to kind of go with it. And I just don't take things super personal when it comes to work. And I think people might be surprised, but in my personal life, I'm pretty sensitive, but at work, I'm very like business.
Right.
And I think it's good to, differentiate.
Absolutely. No, I can kind of, again, that goes back to the genuineness and you just being a good natured person,
Thanks, Devin.
Yeah. You feel things. This has been an amazing little pod and a great little chat with you. I really appreciate you being on. Time kind of went by a little quick.
Yeah.
I literally, and this is me again, giving you some kudos. Social anxiety is a real thing for me. I know not everybody's going to get along with everybody. Not everyone's going to like everybody. I know that everyone makes mistakes in their past, right? And I've had to forgive myself for a lot of things that I've done in my life, and for a lot of the ways that I presented, and trying to find my authentic self has been a journey that's been very difficult for me, and one that I'm so proud to still be on, and one that I'm so proud to have gotten a chance to, develop in front of people and stuff like that, so I can come back and show people now that, hey, everything's good. But giving you your kudos, you're the one that brought me into this podcast realm. I reached out to you first asking for advice on just equipment or what do you use, this and that.
Which you're a pro, so I don't know why you were asking me, but
I literally sat on ChatGPT and just Googled like I didn't know how to get the video up there and all that other stuff and how to do the edits and all that. Audio, fine. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
But all that other stuff, no. And so, but after our podcast, when you reached out to me and asked me if I would do the interview, I mean, I said yes, but at the same time, I hadn't talked to anybody about Big Brother in well over 10 years, I think, or close to it at least. And I was still in that bag of very insecure. Having that interview with you, and then being able to talk to you afterwards and not feeling like it was just an interview. I felt like I had like a friendship with you, and it was very nice. And I really appreciate all the advice that you've given me, being available when I've texted you and everything. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this platform. And I'm being honest. I don't want to sit there and give any praise to myself. It's because of you and what you brought out of me in our last interaction. And I just have to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So
Devin,
really, truly.
That is
No.
so lovely. Thank you. And thank you, because when I reached out, you had mentioned, you were like, listen, I have some social anxiety. I haven't done an interview in a long time. And I could tell the first, like, what, 5, 10 minutes you were nervous. But I do appreciate you opening it up and like sharing you were super real. And I think that's why people were commenting and connecting with it, because you were showing humility, you were showing growth. And sometimes it's nice to come back around to those people who we might have judged 10 years ago, and see they do grow. We are human. And so thank you for sharing that. And honestly, that's a huge compliment that you said that. So
No,
I'm
no
I'm
worries.
so
It's
happy
truth.
for you. Yeah.
Absolutely truth. Yeah. Well, I know we're wrapping up here. Thank you again, everybody. This has been another episode of the Healthy Mental Pod. Thank you, Sharon, for being here with us. This is our guest. Thank our guest, Sharon Tharp. This has been amazing. Catch us anywhere you guys stream podcasts. We're on YouTube. Catch her podcast.
The Exclusive with Sharon Tharp. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify. I'm all that, on all those platforms. And then on social media, it's at Exclusively Pod.
There you go. See, I appreciate it. This has been another episode of the Healthy Mental Pod. I'm your host, Devin Shepard. Take care of your mental like you take care of your health.
Thanks, Devin.
All right. Thank you so much. And let me just do this little